There are a number of considerations that we have to go through when we are looking at planting on your, around your house, or on your property, just to make sure that we're keeping people safe as well as our property safe. This is lovely shade under this large acacia tree here. And this is the kind of shade that would be lovely to have right next to a house or to a building that we would frequent regularly. Unfortunately, with a tree this size, it does provide certain challenges and problems if you are then trying to get something like this next to your house. The root system has the potential to go and affect the foundation or to wrap around piping like water pipes effectively. The upper canopy can get quite large and then start to cause problems if it is dropping branches or potentially if the tree falls onto your house. I have a lovely large Albizia harveyi specimen here right next to the southwest corner of our house, and it is a big tree, and can you imagine if any part of that tree fell on the house? I've actually had that happen with another specimen that was in front of our house, and that in some of the high windstorms that we've had over the years actually dropped a fairly large branch that thankfully didn't damage too much of the house, but did damage the roof over the patio and stuff like that. So when you are situating trees close to or next to the house, you definitely have to be thinking about some of the mature sizes. Here I don't have to worry so much about the tree's roots or the branches because this is a large open area. This tree has been allowed to spread and get as big as possible without the considerations of me having to worry about pruning or it affecting anything around it. By the house, we may have underground wires or pipes, like bringing water or electricity to the house, that could be damaged by the roots of a tree. That can also go the same for overhead wires that might be bringing electricity, telephone, or internet into the house these days. Here we have the power line running through. Now this was put in after these other trees were already planted, and we have the Pakira, that has been planted and grows up, and every year we do have to come through and prune those branches back from the line. So we're a little overdue to do it this time around. And likewise, actually a guava that was planted many years ago is also now putting branches past the electrical wires. Now these obviously can pose a risk in terms of fires and things like that, and it is upon us to actually clear them of the line, seeing as they are then passing right over our trees. But we can also be conscious of the type of shade that a tree casts. The shade under this acacia is kind of a nice light dappled shade. It has many small leaves and the branching is quite spread out effectively. So it doesn't give a dense shade. Also, when those leaves drop, they don't create much of a mess. They're small, they kind of break down fairly quickly. If we choose a tree with a much larger leaf, or a tree that has larger fruits, that can actually cause us other problems around the house by creating a greater mess that then has to be dealt with. There are some trees that I'm not even willing to plant in the ground, just because they are quite aggressive, they get very large, and such things tend to be some of our exotic figs. So this is the Ficus benjamina, the weeping fig that is commonly and widely planted as a landscaping tree. And even things like some of the eucalyptus, which I have here. This is the rainbow eucalyptus. Now these trees have notoriously aggressive root systems. They will travel far distances to reach water sources and usually will plug pipes and things like that with fine roots when they find their way in. But they are still actually quite beautiful trees. So in this case, I have actually potted them into a fairly large pot here that I can still then enjoy the variegated leaves or the nice kind of habit that these have. But here on the back patio, as I sit out in the afternoons, evenings, in the morning, whenever I'm out here, actually, it's a lovely one. Another actual one that people would plant quite regularly is something like the Ficus elastica, the rubber tree. This one here with a particularly nice variegated pattern to the leaves. Again, I wouldn't want to plant this in the ground because of its large and aggressive kind of nature over time, but having it in a pot where I can still enjoy that brings me actually quite a bit of enjoyment. Another ficus on top of that actually would then be something like the fiddle leaf fig, which can get to a lovely large size in the ground. But again, I'm not willing to put it in where then it's going to give me problems with the roots and things like that over time. Much rather have it in a pot where I can control its growth, but still be able to enjoy these fantastic, large, interestingly shaped leaves. If you still are really keen on planting these in the ground and seeing them to their large natural size, it is always best to choose a place that is far from the house, that is not going to give you any problems in terms of issues of aggressive roots, or that it is not going to be giving you any problems where it can potentially drop branches and cause damage to property or power lines or even people. So these are lovely trees, but they then should be placed far enough away from any kind of regular space that is utilized by the household so that you're reducing the damage that they can do.